What is up, everybody? It's your host, Deeper Depths, with the Deeper Level Podcast. I'm super excited about today. It has been an incredible weekend for Gotham Knights. I know many of you who are in the chat right now, you've jumped into the world of Gotham. Myself, I've been running with Red Hood. I chose him as a main for my first playthrough, and I think I had a chance to play last night with Casual Avenger, and we kind of ran through the city and leveled up. He was running Nightwing, and so it was just a great collaboration. Hello to everybody. Just want to welcome y'all into the stream. I see my guy, I'm the Life of Dreads, who has definitely been keeping the hype going for the Gotham Knights community. Welcome, sir. I see 50 in the building as well. What's up, 50? Hey, Kep. Hypotenuse Hero, how you doing, sir? Red Hood back from the dead. What is up, everybody? Make sure that you share this tweet because we have a special guest that is in the studio today, and I'm getting ready to announce him in just a bit. But before we do, directly after this stream, directly after this podcast, I will be streaming both on Twitch and on YouTube Gotham Knights of my playthrough. Like I said, I've been having a blast going through the city, and this game is just beautiful. It is amazing. So do me a favor before we go any further, make sure that you like and subscribe. The algorithm of YouTube loves that. So if you're watching on the red side, make sure that you like this post. And if you have not subbed to the channel, please continue to sub to the Deeper Depths channel, as it helps us in our venture to keep knocking out these amazing podcasts. And as a content creator, I certainly would love your support. If you are on the purple side, on the Twitch side, make sure that you hit that follow button. Doesn't cost a dime to do it. Please do so right now. Well, I know all of you who have come in and are going to be coming in didn't tune in just to see me alone. I've got a special guest that is with me in the studio today, and I want to formally introduce him. Today, my special guest is well renowned in both television and video games. He weaved his way into our hearts with his stellar portrayal of Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, in the 2018 video game Spider-Man, which went on to become Game of the Year. Currently today, he is celebrating the release weekend of WB Montreal's Gotham Knights with his role as DC's Jason Todd, aka Red Hood. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and help me welcome Mr. Stephen Oyoung is in the building today. What is up, my man?
What is up? What is up? What is up? How's everything going?
Everything is going great. How are you doing today, Stephen?
I'm great, man. I just want to say thank you, and also I want to shout out. I think it's I am Life of Dreads, right?
Yes.
3. Okay, so you two have been really amazing out there in the community, and actually like engaging and making people excited, and just you guys really brought the Gotham Knights community together when there was no community. It was pretty amazing. So I just want to say thank you to both of you.
Thank you so much. I am super honored to hear that. I want to also start, before we go further, also by saying thank you so much, because I'm grateful that you would take your time out and invest in this podcast with your time. I know there's 1,000 other things that you could be doing. I know you're a busy man out there on the West Coast, got a lot going, but just for making time to come through this podcast today means so much. I brag all the time about how the entire cast of Gotham Knights has just been so relatable and communicating with the community. And that means a whole lot, because every game that's out there, we don't always get that type of respect and that type of love. So thank you so much. Come on, chat. Let's just shout out to this man right here who is making it happen. Thank you.
You know what? Let's just spend 30 minutes thanking each other, because like I said, when I saw you out on Twitter, communicating with everybody, I was just like, okay, yeah, I have to go on this guy's podcast for sure. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. Now, listen, I want to start this podcast by asking you a question. Of course, this is a gaming related and comic book related podcast, and Gotham Knights just fits both of those perfectly. But I want to ask you a personal question, because I'm sure everybody who is on the podcast is wondering, does Stephen Oyoung play video games?
Okay. True story. I actually don't. I think the last video game I played, these are my 2 favorite video games, Resident Evil 4 and
yes,
Metal Gear Solid 3. So Snake Eater, right? The one where he's in Vietnam. Those were my games. Those are my jam. And I played a little bit of Gotham Knights when we were initially going over to do, the mocap and stuff before COVID hit. And of course, I played as Red Hood. And so I have a little experience there. Yes. But those are my games. Yeah. And I tried to play Spider-Man, and I'm terrible. Oh, my goodness. The swinging, I was just like, I was running into buildings all the time. Yeah, I'm awful. That's why I'm Mr. Negative, because I just want to beat up Spider-Man, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, hey, listen, I get it. You actually played some amazing games. Resident Evil 4 definitely was a shift in the career of the Resident Evil brand. It was a shift in a different direction. I love that game. And of course, Spider-Man PS4, what can be said? The remastered version, I played through it again actually 3 times once I got my PlayStation 5. So again, just, an amazing job on that. You are with one of the most decorated careers, in my opinion, as it relates to gaming in the industry. And I've always wondered and been fascinated with, who inspires the people that inspire us. Like, you inspire so many of us, not only from the Gotham Knights community, but again, the Spider-Man community. But who were some of your inspirations growing up?
Oh, man. Well, you always got to say Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Young Asian American man growing up and doing martial arts. It's like, oh, Bruce. And then, I went and found, like, during my college years, that's when I started to watch like the Jackie Chan stuff. Because back when I was growing up, I really didn't like dubbed kung fu movies, right? So I actually stayed away from a lot of those movies until I grew up and was able to, like, finally get the videos in the native language, where it sounded like, oh, this is more natural. So then I started to love, Jet Li. And my guy is actually Donnie Yen. Dude,
oh, yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Guy. Yeah. So when I was first studying martial arts, like, Donnie Yen was my guy. But here's the really funny thing. It was actually Keanu Reeves in The Matrix in 1999. That's when I was like, oh my God, I was like blown away, because, before that, kung fu movies, they were always kind of this sub-genre. They weren't really mainstream, right? But
right.
then The Matrix comes out, and it just took over the entire culture, right? And that's when I realized, I looked in the mirror and I was just like, wait a minute, I got black hair. I kind of sound like piano. I do martial arts. I can maybe do this. That was the thing that kind of, like, really made me go, okay, maybe this can happen. So big shout out to all of, like, 5 of those dudes. Those were my inspirations. And then now, like, as an actor, obviously I love, like, any good actor, but, being able to work with basically like Denzel Washington. I mean, that's tops. When I watch that dude, that guy never misses. So those are the ones in my, heaven of actors, of performers.
Wow, those are some incredible inspirations. Several of those that you named, I probably seen all of their movies, because I am a huge martial arts fan, love the films. Donnie Yen, I mean, what can be said about that man's career? And then when he crossed over into the Star Wars universe, it was just, it was just amazing. So,
so I did a little stunts on Rogue One, and so that
really,
so I doubled bays, right? And so I was able to meet Donnie Yen and see him perform, and see him work. Yeah. And Donnie has this kind of aura about him where you kind of think, oh, he's got this attitude or a chip on his shoulder. He might be unapproachable. This dude was the nicest guy you could ever meet. Not only nice, but also super skilled. He was just incredible. That was inspirational. And then, speaking of nice, let's go back to video game world, talking about inspirations. Let's talk about Spider-Man. So Spider-Man was my first big acting role, because I had done stunt mocap, but that was my first big acting role in video games. And then to meet Yuri, right? Obviously Spider-Man. Obviously look at his IMDb, it's thousands of credits, right? So again, in my head, I think, all right, if I was a superstar, I ain't talking to nobody, right? I'm going to be in my zone.
Right.
I'm going to be unapproachable. This guy was the nicest guy. Still to this day is the nicest guy. Made everybody feel so welcome. Really set the tone for, just the whole temperature of our shoots, right? So I look at that and I said to myself, right. So if there's anybody to model, it's that guy as well. And so it's ironic that it's not ironic, it's coincidental, but it's just like, how do you make it in this business? It's like, you got to be nice, man. You got to be nice. Unless you're like super talented, then you can be a jerk, I guess. But you got to be like really talented.
Right. You got to be really, really talented.
Exactly. But all the biggest stars, man, they're all nice. They're all nice people. So that's my lesson for there.
And see, and the same thing could be said about you as well. So, again, it's just amazing because I know there's always a trickle down effect whenever people inspire you, and especially if you have the opportunity to meet those individuals and just kind of see their humility and just how humble they are and down to earth. And again, you come across the same exact way. So kudos there. About every 5 to 10 years, in the gaming industry, there's that iconic game that just stands out and commands attention. And Gotham Knights is certainly that. Did you ever see the impact that this game would have on the community when you took this role?
Oh, look, definitely not. Man, I tell you what, let's be real, right? The reception, the lead up to this game, it's been a roller coaster, man. Right. And I believe that this game will be like one of those cult classics where like in a year or 2 years or 3 years, people will come back, and it'll be like that meme of Thanos where it's like, perhaps I judged you too harshly. Right. But like some of the gameplay I'm seeing, especially from Red Hood, I'm just like, well, all the characters, but like, obviously I watch Red Hood. Right. But it's ridiculously dope, man. Like some of the takedowns, especially, I'm like, this is incredible. So, am I shocked by kind of the reception, good and bad, that this game is getting? Absolutely. I've never seen a game be like split 50-50 like this.
Yeah.
Right. But like what I'm starting to realize too is kind of, again, I talk about the temperature of the culture. It's interesting because I've been in this game for a while, like the entertainment game, but like gaming, the fandom, I don't know if it's because we get everything now. We have Twitter, so we're able to just form an opinion immediately. It's incredible. Like, so the positive and the negative is just out there. And I never seen anything like that. So it was a little bit scary, frankly, the lead up, right? And now that the game has come out, I kind of focus on the positive, and to see a lot of these positive reviews, oh my God, especially from the gamers themselves.
Yes.
Spending real time on it, right? Not just like an hour and a half to play the game, right?
Right.
They're like really going through, learning the system.
Yep.
Because that's the other thing I realized about GK is like, oh, the combat system, it is absolutely different than Arkham. You can't just button mash that mofo, right? You have to. But once you learn the rhythm of it, especially what I realized, because I'm a fan of the Arkham game, so I like the counters as well, right? To not have the counters, you're like, oh well, I want to have counters. But then you realize, wait, when you do the dodge, I sound like a shill, but whatever, Twitter. Yeah, I got paid by WB years ago. That's my game. I want people to play it. But like, when you do the dodge, this is my salesman pitch. When you do the dodge right and then do a perfect counter, it's dope.
Yes.
It's dope. That's how you play the game. So I'm seeing this kind of gameplay on YouTube. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I'm excited for what happens, in like a year from now. I want to see what people are saying, because I think people are still going to be talking about this game.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. When you first got the confirmation to play Red Hood for Gotham Knights, did you feel the weight of the responsibility to nail this role? Because again, like you said, the Twitterverse and just social media altogether, 15, 20 years ago, we didn't have that. You just kind of got what you got. But, now that all of that is out there for social media, when you first got that confirmation, like, hey, you're chosen to play Jason Todd, you're chosen to be our Red Hood, did you feel that burden of like, I got to get this right?
Absolutely. When they first told me I got it, First of all, I didn't know what I was auditioning for. That's kind of how all these games are now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You just come in and they give you a scene that is not in the game. They just want to see your acting range. It's kind of related to it, right? But it's not in the game. And so you're doing the character. I'm doing Jason Todd, but I don't know it's Jason Todd, but I kind of think maybe it's Jason Todd. So I'm doing the audition. Luckily, got the role. They tell me I get the role. I was on the street. I got a text from my agent. I was on the street coming off from another audition. I was like, I literally just almost threw my phone. I was like, yes. Oh, yes. Because they told me it's going to be a Batman related game, right? You're going to be Red Hood. I was like, yes. I love Jensen Ackles, right? So I was like, oh, I love Under the Red Hood. So I was like, yes. And then I immediately went, oh, crap. Right? Because, okay. Because here's the deal, right? You have 3 really big performances, 4 if you count the Batman Samurai Ninja movie, right? Yuri play Red Hood. Okay, you had Cameron Bowen play Red Hood in what is it, Injustice, right? You had Troy Baker play Red Hood, and then you obviously had the King Jensen Ackles play Red Hood. Those are 4 very distinct voice prints, 4 very different voice ranges, right?
Right.
From deep to higher, right? It's just all over. There's 4 very different attitudes. Okay. So I'm just like, oh, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do? So yeah, absolutely. Was I nervous? Definitely. And to know it's Red Hood, come on. He's a fan favorite. All right. For over a decade, he's Red Hood. In my opinion, he's the closest there is to a Batman outside of Batman. Okay. He's dope.
Absolutely.
And the mask is dope. Everything about him is dope. So I was super excited and definitely super nervous. But again, looking at a lot of all I've been doing all weekend, you said, oh, you're a really busy man, Steven. I laughed in my head because I'm like, bro, all I've been doing all weekend is looking at Twitter and looking at YouTube comments. And, I'm seeing, thankfully, I'm seeing a positive reception.
Yes.
To the portrayal. So I'm so happy about that.
Absolutely. And, the duality, this character is complex. The duality of this character, the contrast between light and dark, good and bad. I mean, here's a guy who has been killed and brought back to life. So, there's this certain sense of anger that he has just in general, but then he also wants to do some good in protecting the streets of Gotham. It takes a certain skill for an actor to channel both of those personalities like you did. And let me tell you, you nailed it. I'm probably about 10 to 12 play hours in the game. But talk to us about that experience. Was it challenging to channel both of those emotions?
Absolutely. It's so easy to go and play this as like a one-dimensional character, but the writing team was amazing, led by Anne LeMay up in Montreal. They were really adamant from day one. I think the first thing they said outside of congratulations to me was, okay, this Red Hood is not going to be like any Red Hood we've seen before. Okay. We don't want him to just be angry, big guy. Okay. He's got emotions. He's got a whole spectrum of a whole range of emotions, and he's dealing with grief. And he's going to channel that in many different ways. And he's also going to therapy, and he's a sensitive guy, and he wants to do good. And he's got different methods that are going to make him kind of clash with his teammates. As an actor, who doesn't want to tackle something like that? That was exactly what I wanted to hear. And I shout out to my dad up in heavens. I had lost my dad recently.
Oh, wow.
When I was getting that role. So that feeling of loss, again, selfishly as an actor, I was like, okay, use this. I know that's morbid, but I was like, thank you, Dad, because it's just like, I felt like that was his last gift that he gave me. I was like, oh,
wow.
I can kind of process this. I can channel this. So it's kind of a parallel journey for me as well, which was so cathartic and so great to just put it on film and hopefully, make my family and everybody proud. it was amazing. It was a beautiful experience. And so I'm really thankful to WB Montreal for giving me the opportunity to do it and to write this character. I don't know if people have seen, all the little special bonus scenes, and I don't know how many people have finished the game, but I really believe that Red Hood's story, man, it could make its own movie. It's
Yes.
incredible. This guy is, I love this guy. I love this character. Maybe grow his hair out longer for the other fans that want him to not have a buzz. I don't know, but I was just like, give him a movie, man. I'm like, yeah, this is dope. Anyways, that's my opinion on that.
Wow, absolutely. Well, first of all, my condolences, had no idea about your father, but let me tell you, I know he would be proud of the work that you did on this game, your entire family. And let me say, your extended family, us, the Gotham Knights community, we are glad that you did this role. I'm telling you, no one else could have done this. You did an exceptional job on this character. So walk me through your timeline of a workday. You're on set at WB Games Montreal, and y'all are recording the lines, filming things. What does a normal work day look like? Like, how long does that last?
Well, yeah, I may be breaking NDA here, but sue me, WB Montreal. But it's like, what happened to us? We had such an interesting recording process because we started. They had done this development of the game for I don't know how many years before they got the 4 crew, the knights as the actors, right? But they had the characters, they had the models, they were working on the combat. They just didn't have the cinematics. Okay. They had obviously the rough layout. And again, shout out Wilson Moy, my boy, Wilson, who's a narrative, the cinematic director. Incredible stuff. So we got cast and we started doing mocap. They flew us out we're all from LA, all 4 of us, right?
Okay.
Sloan, Chris, me. They flew us out to Montreal to their studio to, do mocap. And then, then it was like a escape from LA moment because like maybe a month later, COVID hit and they were closing down the borders. And it was like we were up in Canada and we had to get the hell out of Dodge, literally, to go back to America. Otherwise, they're going to close the border. So
wow,
we started like for a month or I don't know how many weeks up in Montreal. Then there was a long period where we were recording in the studio, in LA, all 4 of us, and they were doing remote work. And then we kind of finished up back in Montreal, especially like the final scenes, so the process for like mocap was very similar to Spider-Man and basically a lot of video game development, which is what is your day? So you start, the call time's 8:00 or whatever. You get in, you suit up. You do feel like a superhero. That's why sometimes acting in these superhero video games is kind of easy because even the mocap suit, you're just like, shh. Like a Schumacher, Batman montage, right? Put on the suit, whatever. So get all your stuff ready. They ROM you, which is, basically making sure all the cameras can catch all the infrared trackers on you, on your face, right? All that stuff. And then you start shooting scenes. And usually, it's very relaxed. I always tell everybody, people ask, well, what's your favorite genre to work in? I'm like, yeah, obviously I love everything. I love TV. I love movies. I love commercials. What's the most relaxing? Video games. There's only ever like 5 people max, like producers, directors who are like kind of watching you, but everybody's a gamer. So we're all speaking the same language. Or in my case, like I have played games, but I also love comic books, right?
Yes.
So we're all just, people really kind of underestimate how much we're doing this because we actually like doing it. And so in answer to your question, short answer, it's like, you do your scenes and it's just a relaxed tempo because we're not having to wait for camera setups or anything like that. And then we just go and you don't have to worry really too much about your camera angles or whatever. You figure out your blocking. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go do this. We're going to do this and that, and we're going to say that. And then I'm going to go there and that's it. And then you just do it. it's even more liberating than theater, because with theater, you have to be like, okay, the audience is there and I have to stay here and I have to project this way. The camera's right on your face. They're getting 3-dimensional scan of the entire world of your set.
Wow.
So you're just living that moment. So the only immersion breaking aspect of that would be the giant camera on your head. And sometimes if you like, shake a hand or touch somebody's shoulder, like your glove will stick to their Velcro. And so
wow.
you got to be like, okay, sorry about that. So it's a little sticky, it's a little whatever, but other than that, it's great. And like I said, it's just a fun day. I always tell people, when I'm doing a mocap shoot, we'll do something crazy. We'll do something wild, like jump off of a platform, do a fireball at somebody, something explodes and everybody pretends like they got shot out of something or whatever. And then they'll yell cut and everybody's like, great. And then I'm always saying at least once a day, you know what, guys, we're all grown adults and we get paid to do this. What a job, right? What a job. So dream come true.
Yes. Wow. And let me tell you, you are living the dream, man. I can't think of a job that, is better than to be having the opportunity to do what you do. I'm glad you said that about mocap, because a lot of times people don't understand that not only are you the voice actor, but they're capturing also your movements. And so again, facial expressions, things of that nature. I'm certain, knowing where, changing pace just a little bit, but still staying on theme, I'm certain knowing where the MCU is, because we know the MCU is a big deal. I mean, it's everything in film. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, anything tied to DC or Marvel is just, the biggest thing going right now. Superheroes are really in. And I'm certain, knowing where things are headed with the MCU, that Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, at some point is destined to show up, whether he is written in as the Sinister Six or he is the main antagonist in a movie, the main villain, whatever the case may be. Have you ever considered the fact that no matter who they cast for that role, obviously I'm talking to the number one choice right now, but no matter, so hey, if that comes up and you can audition, please go, please.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So no matter who though gets that role, have you ever considered the fact that you did so well in 2018's Spider-Man PS4? You literally set the bar that they'll have to use your performance from that for research on their role. Have you ever thought about that?
I have a lot, more than I'd like to admit. All credit goes to the writing team, Ben Arfman and all those and the art directors, Jacinda Chow. She's the one that like gave me the job basically. And the directors, Brian Intihar and Bobby and all these people, and Brian, look, there was like 3 Brians on this shoot, but like they gave me the chance. They gave Mr. Negative the chance to shine. And again, with that, it was easy for me. Like I'm not the only one that made Mr. Negative what it is. It's if you don't have good writing and you don't have good scenes, you don't have good animation, you don't have good cinematics, then it's going to fall flat. Originally, Mr. Negative was kind of conceived as like an intro tutorial character. But then Insomniac was like, we see more potential to this character. And so they're the ones that stretched it out and made it fully fleshed, made him who he is. And yes, I'm hyper aware that if anybody is going to, do research on playing this role, they're going to have to watch, they're going to have to play our game. So, hats off to whoever gets it. I have to say this as a generous act, selfishly. Whatever. If Steven Yeun gets it, I'm just going to say I'm him, because whatever. It's like if any other Asian guy gets it, I'll be honest. I'm just going to go on the street and say, yeah, that's me. Mm-hmm. Can I get a free latte now? Thank you. Rising tide lifts all boats, right? So, but yeah, they're going to absolutely have to take a lot of cues from our game. I feel like our game is kind of the definitive portrayal of modern day Mr. Negative. So yeah, good luck to whoever does it.
Absolutely.
Kevin Feige, if you're listening, come on, man. Let's do this.
Right. Come on, Marvel. Kevin Feige, your guy's right here.
Yeah, listen, I'm trying on Twitter to pull a Simu, and like make a groundswell of fandom support to try to like get me into the casting office. I have a lot of fans in Brazil. By the way, shout out to Brazil. So hi, everybody in Brazil. They're the ones that are also kind of really pushing that too. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see. But you know what? I always say this: if I could just work anywhere on anything that's cool, I'm happy for that. So, and hey, maybe GK gets a sequel. Who knows?
There you go.
Like that. Let's
Absolutely.
try to eat.
And actually, I was gonna say, with these AAA title games, because of course, Spider-Man, GK, Gotham Knights. I mean, millions upon millions of dollars are invested in these games. A lot of people don't realize just how massive these games are. So having, Spider-Man under your belt, having GK under your belt, you're tied to two of the biggest brands that there are, hands down, Marvel and DC. Furthermore, you're tied to projects with longevity, multiple DLC content. Again, I know that Insomniac has Spider-Man 2 in development, and I've just got a feeling because Heroic Assault is getting ready to drop for Gotham Knights. I think it's November the 29th. But I also just kind of see, just don't know for sure, but I kind of see future DLC content with that game as well. So, it just continues to grow and go on, and it will no doubt double, into more content later on down the road. It was in development for 8 years, I believe, GK, somewhere between 5 and 8 years. However, Spider-Man was released in 2018. So my question there is, was there ever a time when the projects overlapped, or were you like completely finished with Spider-Man before you took on GK?
So I was completely finished with Spider-Man. I think, like you said, if the timelines match up, I think WB Montreal was already kind of working on, if not GK, they were working on, as we know, iterations of what would become GK. So they were working, but I was done. So I had maybe, I don't know how long I had, maybe a year, something like that. So I had that kind of pause in between those two big franchises, in which during that time, I was guest starring on TV shows, or I was working on other video games, like doing Death Stranding, stuff like that, right? And then doing voiceover.
Yeah.
So actually, because of Spider-Man, that's how I got into voiceover. Because before that, I was only doing stunts and acting and mocap.
Sure.
And then after Spider-Man hit, then I was able to get a VO agent. And so then I was doing more voiceover stuff. And then I think because of the voiceover stuff, and maybe probably Spider-Man as well, like that's how I was able to get in the room when they were auditioning for Gotham Knights. So yeah, it all roads led to Gotham, I like to say. And
wow, that is awesome. So I see that the chat is lit right now. Everybody are going in. Chat, if you are Red Hood mains, Red Hood playing the character right now like I am, let's just see some love in the chat. I see so many of you putting the little gun emojis up. I mean, this is Jason Todd. He's here with us today, y'all. This is Red Hood in the building. I had put out a post to gather a few questions from people in the community. There it is, Kip, Red Hood Nation. Yes, sir. Let's go. So I had taken a few questions from the community, and so they wanted to ask some things too. So I wanted to include that as well. This question comes in from Jeannie Love, and they wanted to know, are you friends with any of the other Bat Family cast?
Yeah, I've known America for over a decade from stunts. I didn't work too much with her throughout those years, but I knew her. I did a couple projects. We actually did like a Star Wars, mocap thing, freaking years and years. It might have been for Battlefront. I don't even know, but we were like buddies. we were the bodies of some characters or something. So I had worked with her years ago. I know who America is. I know her work. She's obviously super talented. Sloan, that was the first time I ever met Sloan. And Sloan is totally Tim Drake. He's just the sweetest guy. We had a ton of fun working in Montreal together because we literally would go out, after shooting and when we were in Montreal, and we would act like our characters. I was like, my God, right? Like America's the smart one, Sloan was like this happy-go-lucky, young kid. The ladies loved him. I was so jealous. And Chris was obviously our suave, charming dude. And I was just like super cold and kind of resentful and angry all the time because looking at Chris, he's so handsome. And so, Chris and I actually became really good friends. And I always tell this story. When I first started working with Chris, I actually knew about Chris because I'm just going to put it out there. This is a secret story.
All right. Let's go.
After Spider-Man came out, people were kind of blowing up my Twitter. Thankfully, my Twitter went from like 30 followers to whatever it is, right? And so,
wow.
Yeah, right. And so I was getting a lot of love for that, and I was so thankful. And then somebody had the audacity to write like, "Hey, do you know Christopher Sean?" I'm like, "Why are you talking about other actors?" I'm like, "It's my time, bro."
Right.
So I look at Chris's Twitter. So this is 2018. I look at Chris's Twitter. I'm like, look at this pretty boy. I'm like, because like basically we'd be competition, right? Like if there's like a role on TV or whatever, I imagine we would go out for the same thing. I realize now he's just so beautiful, whatever. He's in a different stratosphere. But so imagine my chagrin and surprise when we get cast together. And the first person I see, out of the airport is Chris. And in my head, I'm just like, yeah, I'm trying to be professional. I'm playing it cool. I'm just like, okay, be professional. But inside, I'm seething because I'm like, oh, he's so handsome. And, he plays Nightwing. He's so cool, right? It's like, oh, like I'm feeling pressure now because like, how do I make my Red Hood stand apart from this Nightwing? Okay. And then, first day of working on the mocap set, I was like, he said something funny. And I was just like, which nobody else got. He made an impersonation of Mike Tyson because we were doing like a boxing thing. And so he did like some impersonation. And I was just like, and nobody else saw it, but I saw it. And I was like, oh, okay, this guy's funny. This guy's funny. I think I like this guy. And he'll tell you too, he could feel like my resentment because he would tell me like on some mornings, he'd be like, hey, Steven, did you hear about this audition? And I'd be like, no, Chris, I didn't hear about this audition. Keep it to yourself. And he would tell his wife, like, he's like, oh man, I'm gonna make him friends with me. I'm gonna make him love me. And by the end of the shoot, man, he did. I was just like, okay, I can't hate you, Chris. You're the coolest guy. You're a nice guy. He's a talented dude. He knows his acting. He knows his craft. So, yeah, the Knights, they're my peoples. They're absolutely my people.
That is awesome. And, the chemistry really comes across in the game too. Like, I mean, I know it's the game. I know it's the script, but we can see, hear, and feel that genuine connection that you all have as friends. So that's incredible. And thank you, Jenny Love, for submitting that question. Now, this one is a little bit, I'm just going to put it out there. Okay, so we got this question that came in from the community. And if you knew this guy personally, you would understand where his energy comes from.
Okay. Bring it.
This question.
We talking about 30 FPS or what are we talking about? Come on.
No, not 30 FPS. Okay, it's not 30 FPS gate.
Okay.
So whatever. That's fine. This question comes in from Slight Stardust. Shout out to Slight Stardust. And his question was, who wins in a fight, Spider-Man or Batman?
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Spider-Man or Batman? Oh, man. You guys are really putting me in the spot.
And now, of course, I have my own theories about this as well, which I also talked to a buddy of mine,
Okay.
in 3000. So shout out to Gary Davis. I kind of
Yeah.
asked him about it before
Yeah.
I submitted the question to you. I'm like, hey man, just
Yeah.
give me your reasoning on this, because he's like a big comic book buff as well. So I asked him the question, and he gave me his answer, and it made a lot of sense. But
Okay.
and there's no wrong answer. Let me say this too,
Was
Stephen.
his
No
answer?
pressure.
Yeah.
No wrong answer. What do you think?
I've heard this before. It was his answer kind of like this, where it's like, well, does Batman have prep time? Was it that? All right.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I will go with that, because I do think that makes a lot of sense. Having fought Spider-Man myself, I think I can speak to this. Obviously, Spider-Man's stronger, faster, more agile. It's got the Spidey sense, can thwip, can do all that stuff. So he's gonna slap Batman. But if Batman has some prep time, then that's a different story. That's my answer right there. Prep time, Batman. Come on, prep time, Batman.
Absolutely right on target, because that's the whole thing. Bruce Wayne, is an older character, so he's a lot smarter. He's wiser. Spider-Man is young, so he's still immature in some areas. So I think that that's what everybody is saying, is that Bruce Wayne would have him figured out and find out a way to beat him.
Well, and I don't know if anybody's played sports, but it's like, if you ever done martial arts or basketball or whatever, when you play the veterans, when you play the older people, they are not as strong as you. They're not as fast as you, but they are wily. They got tricks.
Yes.
Right? It's like,
absolutely.
Okay, I mean, we're talking about a 40, 50-year-old Batman who's been on the streets of Gotham. He's seen some things, and then versus a 25, 28-year-old Peter Parker, who, look, Peter's smart, but when you're talking about a guy that is a veteran and has got dirty tricks,
right?
but if they just met at a Starbucks and they started popping off, then Spider-Man's gonna
Peter Parker
putting him in the hospital. Let's be real.
Awesome. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much, Stephen, for your time with us today and taking the time just to kind of sit down with the community, because again, this is not only a benefit to the Deeper Level podcast, but this is a benefit to the entire Gotham Knights community. Again, thank you so much for taking this interview and, spending time with, us today on the chat, on the stream. And, people are just kind of posting their love and,
Awesome.
just posting their support. So like you said earlier, there's kind of, it seems to be that 50-50 split, but let me tell you, you've got more people walking with you than you do against you. We support Gotham Knights. We love it. I'm enjoying the game. And this is just an incredible body of work. So much that you have to be proud of. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much.
I love your setup, and the best of success to your podcast. I'm telling you, you got a professional setup, man. I'm looking at your thing right now. I'm like, yeah, look at this. You got a great, it's all going to work out for you, man. So subscribe to Deeper Depths. Keep watching this guy's podcast. I'm a fan right here. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Listen, you heard it from Red Hood. Make sure that you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button, whether you're on Twitter or you're watching this on Twitch or you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, and we will be back at you more with more podcasts. This has been the Deeper Level with my guest, Stephen Oyoung, aka Red Hood, aka Jason Todd with Gotham Knights. We'll see you again on the next stream, people. Peace.
Later. Thank you.